Hey there, folks. Rob Emery, property negotiator for Power Bespoke. Welcome to today's Movers and Shakers. Today we are blessed with the presence of Tim Matthews of Lovechurch. I'll let him introduce himself in a bit. We just want to see if anyone's coming on and can hear us. If you can, just give us a thumbs up and we'll go from there.
Yeah, great.
How are you doing, Tim?
I'm really good, thank you. Yeah, it always takes a bit for people to log on. Is fine. Yeah, no, I'm really good, thank you. Getting into the Christmas spirit of things. My wife and I have got a young family, so they're in the last week of school, and just about trying to get them through to the end of the school term.
Yeah, it's always the exciting part. They just want to be on holiday, and we just want them to go back to school.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone's looking forward to a bit of a Christmas break. It's been a long old year, hasn't it? What a year! What a year! Goodness me.
Yeah, we just got going, and then everything had the brakes put on. We got all these interesting situations happen to us, and I see London's now being forced into like a tier 3 level, I think.
Yeah.
So their Christmas is going to be a little bit interesting. We'll have to see what happens there.
Well, okay. Yeah, it's disruptive, isn't it? And I spoke to someone this morning who runs a charity in town.
Yeah.
She said to me, everything is uncertain. And she said, I just don't know what to be certain of. I said, well, that's one thing we can be certain of, uncertainty. With anyone who runs any kind of organization, any kind of business, how you handle uncertainty, that almost defines whether you'll sink or swim. Can you adapt? And, can you handle it? It's difficult, very difficult.
Yeah, I think it's forced us, well, definitely some industries to the next level, which has been I suppose, a blessing in disguise. I suppose some people have battled, some others have strived in this environment. But anyway,
I think it's particularly hard for any organisations with staff teams. I think I was speaking to another friend. They've got a staff team, and they were noticing what we're noticing. That look, this has all affected different personalities and characters very differently. Some people feeling very resilient, quite buoyant about things, almost like they've enjoyed the ride. Other people just feeling shattered, and desperate for a break, fearful about next year. So it's affected, many different people in many different ways, and it's been a bit surprising, I think, how it's affected different people. And for anyone who leads a team, holding teams together, especially when you're not physically gathered in an office, that again is an art, not a science. I'm finding.
Yeah, I think it's a challenge because I suppose it's hard to you lose that emotive contact.
Yes.
With all your group.
Yeah.
Okay, but speaking about initiatives and thriving and striving, I saw you guys had 2 fantastic initiatives. I don't know if you want to just maybe introduce yourself and what it is you do in the community, and then we can sort of move on to the actual meat of those initiatives that we wanted to discuss.
Yeah, well, it's great to be on with you, Rob. So I'm Tim Matthews, and I run a Lovechurch Bournemouth, which is a Church of England church. We run out of the St Swithin's site on Eastcliff in town, and then at St Clement's in Boscombe, in the middle of Boscombe. And then I guess there's a third site where we're online and doing quite a lot online now. But yeah, I think the aim was to talk a lot about Love Your Neighbour initiative and the Spear initiative. And maybe I should just say what that is. Yes. So Love Your Neighbour is an initiative from many churches in the Church of England to respond to the COVID crisis. And it's been back in March this year. It started up, you probably know, but the Church of England alone has 16,000 churches in the UK. Along with all the other streams, there's probably 30,000 churches in the UK. And they really are at the forefront of the COVID response in many ways, just as much as teachers and healthcare professionals have been. It's been the churches in individual communities that have been doing so much. There's 8,000 food banks run by those churches. There's 2,400 night shelters run by those churches. And, you know, it's uniquely the Christian church who can mobilize the numbers of volunteers that professional institutions, secular institutions just can't mobilize volunteers. And so what we've been seeing during the COVID response really is the church loving its communities. And so the Love Your Neighbor initiative is a very wide alliance of many churches from many denominations and networks, all coming together to bring practical help and hope and blessing to their communities. And it's all inspired by the love of God, our belief in Christ at the center of it all. And that's the good news, of course, that Christmas is all about. So it's been really exciting to see that happen here in Bournemouth. Here in Bournemouth, it focuses on 3 priorities. Number 1 is food and kind of that very practical crisis relief. So back in March, if you remember, people were struggling to get even their medical supplies and prescriptions from the chemists. And so there's a kind of small army of volunteers who every Wednesday out of St. Clement's, Boscombe, deliver food packages and visit people and help people in lots of practical ways. So it's been that kind of food supply. You know, the crisis has moved on from March. You know, it's tempting, I think, for many people who have kind of got used to living in the crisis to think, oh, you know, all that food crisis phase of COVID has passed. But I tell you, for a lot of people, it hasn't. Childhood poverty is still a massive issue, even in Boscombe. And that's true for many other areas of town. And so there are still huge pockets of deep need, even when it comes to food. So that's the first thing. Second thing is advice. And for us in particular, that's around debt counseling advice. And that is also a very big issue here. Even over this year, that's been hampered by COVID, you know, we've not been able to meet up with as many people as we would have liked to and so on. Still this year, our CAP debt counselling team, so Christians in Poverty, who we run that debt counselling centre with, they've written off £270,000 worth of debt. Sure. 14 of our clients have become debt-free this year. 20 new clients have been introduced, and that is really, you know, fantastic. We've run 12 CAP money courses, which are helping delegates on those courses to it's just a very simple planning and budgeting, takes the fear out of that and prevents households slipping into difficulties. So about 110 people have done those courses. So that's the second aspect of it, advice. And then the third aspect of it, which we're just getting into now, is unemployment, and really helping people in difficult situations, increasingly now coming as the furlough schemes ends and the unemployment begins to ratchet up, helping people with that as well. So it's been phenomenal. And we've seen the church respond to it. We've seen the community respond to it. A lot of it is run in partnership with the council, with other churches and charitable agencies. And also the government have got involved directly, and they have matched funded £100,000 worth of that action during the year. So it's a really exciting project, Rob.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so the drive you did, you said a government matched your 100,000. I mean, that was a phenomenal drive that you were doing on its own.
Yeah.
To raise the initial, you had to raise 100 to get 100, if I remember correctly.
Exactly that. So, I mean, it was amazing of the congregation at Lovechurch that they were, you know, so bought into this and wanted to bless Bournemouth that they gave £100,000. And because of that, we were able to release from central government funding direct to the church another £100,000, which enabled us to double the impact of what we were otherwise able to do, to help the poorest and most vulnerable in the Bournemouth Christchurch Pool community, to play our part in that, as I say, in partnership with the council and others. So yeah, that's been a really exciting thing to see that occur.
That's absolutely amazing. So these courses and that you're doing to obviously help people with their budgets and that, can we just pop the link into the comment section, I think, after the live, just so people who may need it can just grab onto it and or share
anyone,
it with people that
yeah, if you head to lovechurch.org.uk, and you will find there the debt counselling advice. You'll find much more information about the Love Your Neighbour scheme. You can actually offer help or request it. You know, our message to Bournemouth is no one need be isolated on their own without help. You know, it's not just us. There's churches all across Bournemouth who are responding to the need and moving towards people in the community. It's been really beautiful, I think, to see that. I know this year has been really tough for some people. You know, it's great to, you know, we're all kind of buoyed up maybe with the hopes of the vaccine and all that stuff. Maybe a bit more hope, the light at the end of the tunnel. But, you know, the tunnel's been pretty dark and pretty long for a lot of people. I think, like a lot of other churches, we're seeing maybe the impacts of this year on people's mental health, emotional health. All that is almost now as much of a concern as the physical health impact of COVID. And again, it's the church at the forefront in the communities, kind of mopping up a lot of that, and that's just as it should be. We're you know, that's exciting to do that. So I think, yeah, the church has got a big role in rebuilding the fabric of community life in Bournemouth Christchurch Pool next year, as hopefully we can begin to all recover together from this.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. We could get out next year and start living reasonably normal activities and lives again. Yes, we'll chuck the link to everything into the comment section below at the end of the live. If you have any questions, you can chuck them in and we'll see if we can pick them up and answer them while we're on the live. One of the initiatives that caught my eye was the Spear initiative. Tim, if you'd like to just elaborate a little bit about that, how it came about. I watched a little video of it. I thought it was an absolutely amazing initiative. But over to you. You can share with people what it is.
Everyone knows that, you know, there is a lot of economic hardship still to come as a result of COVID, unfortunately. Now, one of the groups in UK society that finds it hardest in the good times, this group finds it hardest, is disadvantaged young people. They're the last people to be hired and the first people to be fired. They find it hardest to succeed in interviews, to present themselves, project themselves. They have the worst education records. They have often unstable backgrounds that have not prepared them well for the workplace. So disadvantaged young people are you know, literally at the back of the queue, and the first to be affected by problems, ironically. And so, you know, we've always had a big bias, I think, for younger generations out of Lovechurch, and for those who experience disadvantage starts in life. And so, to be honest, we had this one in the drawer for a while, that we really wanted to get involved with this group. The social research that we'd done years ago had told us that this actually is a hidden problem in Bournemouth, scratched below the surface, and unemployment amongst disadvantaged young people is a lot of what is then driving future instability in households. It's driving crime, it's driving addiction, and so on. Social behavior and so on that's affecting communities is being driven by this. So we knew it was a strategic issue, and we kind of had it in the drawer. But when the government scheme came along to respond to COVID, and unemployment was one of the things that they came to the church saying, look, have you got any plans to address this issue, that if you had match funding, you know, it might help you really do it? And I immediately said, well, yes, we've got this amazing scheme called Spear. Spear, it was a scheme set up by a charity called Resurgo in London, and it's been running in a number of centres in London, and then over the last few years expanding across the UK. And it's a model whereby disadvantaged young people are mentored and coached in cohorts of 15. So they come onto the scheme in a group of 15. You take 15 disadvantaged young people and you coach and teach and mentor them through the process of self-development, of working on self-image and confidence and so on, helping them research jobs, applying for jobs, writing CVs, presenting themselves, and then, crucially, you go on supporting them through the interview process into work, and then during the first year, you gather them and you support them during that first year. So it's a win-win all round. It's a win for society, because actually the cost to society of a disadvantaged young person not entering employment is massive. It's a win for their own life, and it's a win for the employer. And economically, it's a huge win. So it's a win all ways round. And Resurgo had developed this program, and it works. After a year, 70% of disadvantaged young people who come onto the Resurgo Spear scheme are still in stable employment 1 year on after graduating from the program. So this is a phenomenal program. I mean, you don't get that success rate anywhere else. It's brilliant. And so we had our eye on it. And yeah, actually, you know, the COVID crisis kind of tipped us over as a church, getting us over that barrier, the financial barriers and others of getting this set up. So we're set up, we've got the funding, and we are starting in January. We've set up a new trust called Spear Bournemouth that can work with Resurgo, with the church, with local businesses. And we will be hopefully taking our first cohort of young people early next year. And the aim is that in year one, we will take 6 cohorts of 15 people. So, you know, the aim is that by the end of next year, we'll have helped 90 disadvantaged young people get into the workplace and stay in the workplace. And not only will their own lives be transformed, not only will the community life be transformed, but think of the future impact. The future impact of every disadvantaged young person getting into stable employment is massive, because you've changed the trajectory of their own life for the better. So I'm really, really pumped about it. And yeah, that's what Spear is, and it's happening. And you know, you can find out more about that on the website. Anyone can find out more on our website and volunteer to get involved as that program gets going next year.
Yeah, that's super. What kind of volunteers would you be looking for to help out with that?
Well, we are going to need mentors. Although there's a professional team at the centre of it, it's a wide charity. So there's mentoring opportunities, coaching opportunities. Of course, we want to work in partnership with local employers and businesses, not just from a funny. Hopefully, it can be a win-win. They can get involved sponsoring some of the program, but also we can supply them with fantastically motivated and well supported young people for employment in their businesses. And you know, those young people are going to receive a fantastic amount of support beyond the business, helping them progress in that workplace. So I think it's going to be a really exciting program. Yeah,
it sounds phenomenal. You know, it's always great to change a young person's life, especially when they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And going through this year, you know, 90 children with the opportunity to better their lives would be amazing. That's phenomenal. Okay, so in terms of that, so any local business, anyone that is willing to help, come down and help mentor, coach, or do you do on-site training? Will it be virtual training to start? I suppose we've got to wait and see how things pan out in January.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're flexing it. There is an online model that has been working successfully. So, but as soon as we can, we will be working with the young people physically, of course, and hoping that workplaces and so on will reopen. But either way, we will get going with this, and we will just flex and adapt as whatever happens in the new year, along with the business community and those organisations that do employ young people. They're going to be adapting, and we will sink in with that. That's
phenomenal. Okay, so that's 2 fantastic initiatives. I don't know, I'm sure you've got loads of others that are bubbling under. I don't know if there's any others you'd like to pop up, maybe something to Christmas. I know it's that time of year when I suppose loneliness is probably at its all-time high. I don't know if you've got any initiatives going out with that.
Well, we have the Love Christmas initiative going. So this is we're delivering lots of hampers that are just a present. It's just a gift to people in the community, saying you're not alone, you're not unseen. We're with you, and much more importantly, God is with you, and He sees you and loves you. And that's the message. We want to inject some hope and joy. We're actually going to be carol singing outside St. Clement's in the middle of Boscombe this coming Sunday at 6 o'clock. If anyone wants to come along, grab a face mask, and hopefully there'll be a lot of people. Everyone's socially distanced, so it's safe and everything. But yeah, through the Love Christmas campaign and our Christmas services, actually, even if people aren't happy going out and so on, you can go onto our YouTube channel, Lovechurch Bournemouth YouTube channel, and watch we put a carol service online there, and it's not just a global thing. It's very. I've delivered a message from the RNLI in Poole and from the New Forest and so on. We're trying to bring hope and joy and company for people in Bournemouth, Christchurch, Poole this Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Definitely could use some Christmas cheer and some caroling.
Yeah. Okay. We all need it. We all need it.
It's true. Maybe as loud as my jumper would be fantastic.
I don't know. That's pretty loud, Rob. That's pretty loud.
Yeah, I like the loud jumper. It makes me feel comfortable. So just to wrap up, I get my favorite part. I always like the fun fact. So if you have maybe a fun fact about yourself and maybe a fun fact about how you came around Love Your Neighbour and Spear or the church or something would be a nice little giggle to finish off with.
Mate, my fun fact about myself this year, I've decided to get fit, right? I am the the middle class male, and so I have become a mammal, middle-aged man in lycra, and I've got into running and cycling and swimming, and as ridiculous as it feels putting on all that kit and whatever, I love it. And this summer I did my very first triathlon. I had 2 goals. One was to get round and finish, and the other was not to come last. And that was, I met both of those goals. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Oh, super. Okay, I think that's it. We'll wrap up here. So contact details, we'll put a link to the website into the comment section below afterwards. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll answer them as best as we can or as quickly as we can. And if you are able to help, if you're a local business that can help one of these kids out, will be fantastic. Love Your Neighbour, Spear initiatives are great. Tim, thank you very much. It was great having you.
It's been really great being with you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. And in case we don't see everyone, we wish you a fantastic and Merry Christmas. And we hope you have a good time and try and get out to those Christmas carols. It'll be great.
Happy Christmas.
Cheers.